Hello everyone, this week's parasha is Parashat Bereshit. We are starting the Torah all over again. This week, in the middle of the week on Simchat Torah, we finish the Torah, and immediately afterwards, we start reading from the beginning. We start reading from Parashat Bereshit. Now, the reason that we don't wait till Shabbat is to show how precious the Torah is for us. We don't want to wait a moment before we start over again. So much so that it is better to take out more than one Torah for reading and have one ready in Bereshit and one in the end of the Torah, V'zot HaBeracha, so we don't need to roll the Torah from the end to the beginning and we can start right away. That's how precious this is for us. There's a very famous question that is brought of why does the Torah not start from the first mitzvah? The first mitzvah that is given to Am Yisrael is in the book of Shemot. And yet the Torah starts a whole book ahead of there, even that there are no mitzvot for Am Yisrael brought up yet. And I think one of the reasons is to let us know who we are, who are our people, what's our ancestry. Let us know what we can connect with. There is so much that we can learn from our forefathers, from Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, from Adam Rishon, from Yosef HaTzadik, from everyone. We have so much that we can learn, and we're going to get into it throughout the book of Bereshit. The book of Bereshit is my favorite book out of the Torah. There's just so many stories. It's a way for us to connect on such a level. And if we wanted to talk just about Parashat Bereshit, just the first story in Bereshit, the creation, Adam and Chava in paradise, the whole thing, we can talk about this the whole day. But I wanted to focus on one thing. I wanted to focus on Jewish noses. So throughout history, there's been a lot of anti-Semitic focus on the fact that Jews have big noses. But the truth is that we focused on it way before that. In the mystical side of Judaism, there is a very, very deep reasoning for the fact that Jews have big noses. For that, we need to go to the very beginning, to the story of Adam and Chava. Adam and Eve are in Gan Eden, and they are commanded not to eat from the tree of Tov V'Ra, of good and bad, the tree of knowledge. And if we read through the story, all of the senses are being used inside the sin. Chava sees the fruit, she picks it up, she tastes from it, she feels it, she brings it to Adam, she gives to him, all of the senses except one. The only sense that is not being used is a sense of smell. That is the only thing that is not used in this whole sin. If we read in the Gemara, it talks about the fact that how big was Adam Rishon. He was huge. He was this tremendous being that was walking around the world, and they describe how big he was. And we look at ourselves now and we're human. We're regular sized. And it says that after the sin, everything that left paradise became smaller. The eyes became smaller, the ears became smaller. She heard the snake tell her to take from it. The mouth became smaller, she ate from the fruit. Our senses all became smaller. But the Zohar, the mystical book in Judaism, says everything except one thing became smaller, the nose. The nose stayed. Why did the nose stay? Because the nose still belongs in paradise. The nose still has that mystical aspect that is still connected so close to our neshama that didn't change, which is amazing. Because all of our senses are very much grounded in this world, except one, the sense of smell. The sense of smell is so deep that when something doesn't feel right, we say, it smells fishy to me, right? Something smells off. Something doesn't feel right. It always has to do with smell. to such an extent that I will see something or taste something and it makes me feel nice and warm. The only sense that can actually connect you to something from way back when is smell. You can smell something that reminds you of a memory from 50 years ago, and it brings you back to that place because it is so connected to your neshama that the other senses aren't anymore. This even goes further on, and it says that when Mashiach is standing in the entrance of Bet HaMikdash, in the entrance of the temple, he's standing on Har HaBayit. He's standing in the entrance and he's letting people in. It says, how does he know who's righteous and who's not? One of the signs of knowing that this person is Mashiach, it says, Beharicho et yirat Hashem. When he smells the respect of God on a person, or the fear of God, when he smells that you are a righteous person. What does that mean, that he smells that you're a righteous person? Mashiach needs to be so in tune with his neshama that his sense of smell can let him know if a person is genuine or not, if a person is connected to God or not. That is how strong the sense of smell is. And therefore, our noses didn't get smaller when we left Etz Hadat, when we left Gan Eden, because they were the only ones that did not participate in the sin. Of course, they somewhat joined proportions to the rest of our face, but there's something over there that stayed from Gan Eden, something that connects us to a deeper part of our neshama. Let's be proud of our Jewish noses. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.